everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be speaking with Starlette Tolver. For those of you who don't know her, she's an international trainer, accomplished stylist, educator, competitor, and was the owner of multiple salons, schools, and beauty supply companies. Starlette has also developed educational programs for cosmetology, competitions, and the film industry. She's a lifetime Crystal member of the Canadian Judging Program, a member of the ABA Advisory Panel, and the Canadian Cosmetology team. She is currently enjoying her role as an examiner for Red Seal, which is one of the reasons why we had to bring her on today. Star, thanks so much for joining us. My first question is, where do you find time to breathe?
Oh, this has been over many, many years.
Tell us about you. Want to know a little bit about you and your journey and how you got here.
Oh, it started a long time ago. I'm a third generation stylist. So I grew up in a salon. My job after school, when I was 11, 12, I would come home. My mom had a salon attached to the house at that point. So my job was to wrap the perms. Yeah, when I got to hair school, I could wrap a perm in 20 minutes.
Is that fast, considering how long it's supposed to take? What's the average? What's the average right now?
I'd say 40, 45, but I was taught that time is money.
It's still true.
It is.
Maybe even more now today.
So yeah, it was just part of daily life, working in the shop. I was a dancer, and I would finish helping mom in the shop, and then I would go to dance class. So that was what I thought my path was. I had to make a decision what direction I wanted to go. I had gone and become certified as a dance teacher and opened some studios. I was still in high school. And that evolved into a business, and it was thriving. And I thought, well, if something ever happens, then maybe I should have something else. So I went to hair school and became certified. So the two just intermingled. And because of my dance, I got involved in hair shows and platform and choreography. And it's just, here I am today. Like, it just snowballed.
It goes fast. It goes fast.
Yeah, it gave me so many opportunities to meet people when I was really, really young. My mom went from working in the shop to being an educator in a school, and she wanted to keep her hand in part-time, so she worked in a salon at the Hotel Sask in Regina part-time while she was teaching at work or at school. And I ended up there as well. And the lady who came to work there with Mom was Evelyn Armstrong. And Evelyn Armstrong was the lady that started Canadian Hairdressing Journal with Cecilia Leatherberry, or Cecilia Johnson at that time. Really huge, influential people in the hairdressing industry. And I was the manicure girl in that shop. And Evelyn decided that she would try out her competition training techniques on me. So here I was 13, 14 years old and had no idea who this icon was or that she even was. And she's practicing her teaching techniques on me before she works with the Canadian team.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been such a cool experience.
But I didn't even realize it then.
But that's what made it probably resonate so much, is that you didn't have that hype up, and it was just kind of like a normal thing that you were able to just absorb because there was no guard up or anything. If you knew how big she was in this industry, then maybe you would have been shitting yourself a little bit more.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, and that was just a normal Saturday.
Can you walk us through what it was like in the industry? We're just the young bucks of the industry right now. We look at the industry with what it is today, but You know, what was it like back then? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? How were people interacting back then?
Oh, the business then was just, it was amazing to be in. At least I think it was. You had a steady stream of people in the shop that half of them you saw every week, and the other half you saw every 6 weeks. You were pre-booked all the way through, usually 3 months ahead. These people would come in. I had a whole group of professionals that we'd start at 6 a.m. because they'd need their blow dry and finish to be able to go to work at 8 or 9, right? So you'd have to start early. And then in the afternoon, you had people that had a flexible schedule, right? They weren't professionals. They were usually moms. And those people were every 3 months. You were with them for you'd usually start, I'd start with their graduation from high school, and then I'd get them ready for either their journey through college or their first job. And then you get them ready for all their important dates. You get them ready for their engagement party, their wedding, their children. Then you end up doing, through the wedding, you end up doing the extended family. And I've had quite a few come in and get their hair done for, like, if they're terminally ill, I'll do their hair. They think it's their last week.
I love hearing of the past experience because it reminds you of how it was, but it actually makes you realize how similar it still is. It's really, it's refreshing, you know, that, 30, 40 years later, we actually have similar experience, but totally different.
What the hell is going on with the industry? Is it the fact that it's just deregulated and people don't have a standard to follow anymore, or what?
Oh, I don't think it's that at all.
No.
I think it's the rise of YouTube, and it's technology, and it's a combination, right? That's what's supporting the sense of entitlement. We don't have to work as hard to make the same amount of money. We have to work extra hard if we want to make lots of money. And people's priorities are so different now. I'm still heavily involved in education. And today, somebody thinks they're an expert if they've watched a video 3 times. They don't ever have to have touched a mannequin. They think just by watching it that they've magically absorbed that ability, and then they can lay their hands on someone and succeed.
So what goes wrong in that type of scenario?
Oh, what doesn't go wrong?
For the stylist or for the client?
Both. Well, we all know the client's going to suffer because they're not going to get the standard that they deserve. But when it comes to stylists thinking that they could just take a trick off of YouTube and apply it that day, I mean, I guess it also depends on the
pseudo stylist.
A pseudo stylist. What's that again? A
pseudo stylist, right? They think they're a hairdresser because they say they are. Right? They may have dropped out of beauty school. They may have just very lazily slid their way through. I mean, it's systemic, right? It starts with high school. People are pushed through to the next grade, whether they have achieved those requirements or not, right? So even if you don't work, you succeed. That's the message, and that's the attitude. I mean, look at who does well in school. Those people that have parents that have ingrained in that person, you must succeed. You must work hard. Right? These are the standards that you're expected to achieve. It's either coming from the people who support you or it's been developed in you. But if that isn't there, then you slide through anyway. So then schools are put in the position where in order to be profitable and stay in the market, they have to fill seats. Right? I was so fortunate when I had a school. I'd already had a career in the prairies, moved out to BC and started a school. And I was in the position where I'm going to take people that really want to explore this industry and do something in it, and that I enjoy working with. And if they don't want to be here, there's many other schools that they can go to. So I put in a very extensive differential aptitude exam. So, and they had all these steps they had to go through to come in. Out of every 100 applicants, after attrition, we had 20 in the chair. So yeah, we'd send 80 to all the other schools. The other schools loved us, right? Because we'd vet them and send them. So we'd end up with those 20. When I was selling my school back then, you had to go through all these barriers from, at that time, PPSEC, in order to be able to sell it to someone else. So they had our students surveyed, all of our grads over the 10 years. And it took them 3 months to finally allow us to sell our school because they kept doing the survey over. They didn't think that the numbers were right. It just wasn't computing. So 3 times, every student that graduated was contacted and spoke to. And at the end of 10 years, 85% of our graduates were working in the industry.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's the opposite to now. It's about, I think,
now
10%.
It's 10%. It's 3% after the first year. After 1 year,
3%.
Only 3% are in the industry. Yeah, so that's why the government asked me to come in as a subject matter expert back then. Right? So yeah, it's just this pervasive attitude that I think I can, therefore I do.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Terenzio. I was going to say, like, as a salon owner, it's like one of the hardest things right now is to inspire people to take ongoing practical education, because they feel like YouTube and Instagram and, you know, Pinterest is the best and fastest way. And especially now with COVID happening and the pandemic, you know, practical education now is going to be in a standstill for the foreseeable future. And it's scary because there's a whole new generation of hairstylists that have been affected by the YouTube and the Instagram. And now they're getting affected by the pandemic that is going to make them feel even more entitled to educate themselves with YouTube. And I had a conversation with a young stylist and I said, okay, you can educate yourself with YouTube, no problem. As long as every YouTube channel or YouTube video you've watched, you have a mannequin to support what you watched. I said, and paperwork. I want to see a head sheet. I want to see the description of what you want to do before you actually attempt it on the mannequin. And it's amazing how many people are still like, oh, well, I'd rather just do it in the whim. And I'm like, so now your client is going to be your test dummy that's going to pay full price for a tested haircut? Not on my watch. Like, you know, so we have to become more creative in how to, because, like, let's be honest, YouTube's here to stay.
Oh, definitely. And it's a fantastic tool.
It is a fantastic tool. As long as you have the foundations to utilize the tools, not utilize YouTube as your foundation to build tools.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have to have that mannequin. And well, when I still train for competition, mentor people. And what we do is they'll have their mannequin on the stand. If I'm not able to watch the whole process and then mentor through that, what they do is they do time lapse so that I can, of their work, so that I can see their body position, their hand position. all of the process from beginning to end. And when it goes that fast, you pick up issues really quickly, especially ergonomics. And that's such a huge part of being able to work for a long time and not hurt yourself and look professional. Somebody standing on one foot, half upside down, trying to trim a square shape, how do they look like they're professional? Right? And then they're whining about tendonitis.
Sometimes when you walk by salons, you're like, are they doing yoga or are they cutting hair? Because they're doing them both wrong. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So what is the Red Seal and why should stylists care? We know that you are somebody very involved in the Red Seal. And, I think there's, especially in BC, there's a lot of questions around it. So can you enlighten us a little bit more about what it is and, why should new stylists be involved with it and maybe why experienced stylists should be involved in it as well? Or how maybe senior stylists can be more involved like yourself.
Red Seal is a national standard. It's recognized worldwide. When you are involved in Red Seal, it's an apprenticeship system, first of all. So part of the process is being guided by an experienced stylist, which has huge value. We don't even need to go into that, how much value there is in that. The other part is it's a industry vetted curriculum. So the curriculum comes from industry for the training. It works hand in hand with any safety councils or boards, right? So WCB underpins all of the processes.
Is ITA a part of the
ITA is Red Seal.
It is Red Seal. Okay,
Yeah.
I always get confused with the two.
Yeah, Industry Training Authority is the new name for it. It used to be called Apprenticeship and Trade.
Okay.
And that made sense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just like going to a Red Seal stylist, it would be like hiring a journeyman carpenter. You automatically understand that when you hire that journeyman, they have all of their safety protocols, they have their codes, whatever codes look after that industry, that journeyman is aware of and kept up to date on. Right? So you're secure in knowing that when that carpenter builds your house, it's not going to fall down and it's not going to be in violation of anything. When you take Red Seal hairstylist training, it's the same thing. Right? You're mentored by other stylists who have gone through the process. They have experience under their belt. You've taken the technical training that gives you all of the protocols and processes and safety information that's required for anything that you do in that industry. So
I wanted to clarify a little something about what you're saying, because I think the audience might get confused being like, that sounds great, but why isn't that being done now? And I just wanted to share my experience as a stylist 14, 15 years ago. I almost dropped out of hair school to become a barber because there wasn't need to be a license. And thankfully I was told to stick with it and get a license. But realistically, by the time I graduated with my license out of a local, really reputable school, I still wasn't ready to be on the floor. And I did a lot of my training on paid clients. And thankfully, a few of them are still my clients today. But I wish that I went through a little bit more of a rigorous time in school, because it would have avoided a lot of the questions that I had. I graduated with not understanding what undertone pigment was, with color. I graduated without understanding the meanings of using most of my tools. And it's so unfortunate that we have gone so far one direction without trying to bring it back. And I just wanted to kind of clarify the difference, because I came out 2 years it took me to actually come to understand most of the stuff that I actually needed to know.
There's a difference between the information being delivered and the recipient's understanding.
Exactly.
Okay. And for some of the information, we don't have the ability to understand.
The experience to understand.
Right. You need that experience in order to know what you don't know. Right? And pay attention, let in what you need at the time. That's why there's that 3,600 hour time frame, or 2 years. In the apprenticeship system, the industry here in BC is so used to a front-loaded system where, like you go to school for that year, right, or 1,500 hours, and they try and pump or show you as much as possible, and then out the door you're supposed to be salon ready. That's front-loaded system. The industry here got so used to stylists thinking they were salon ready when they graduated that became the norm. In the apprenticeship system, you take your foundation training, then you go to the salon as an apprentice and you're mentored for a period of time, and that can fluctuate. Then you go back for level 2, which is the advanced color correction, extensions, texture in hair, wig work, those kinds of things that you really need more of an understanding of the fiber that you're working with.
Well, and it's good that you said that the fiber and the texture, because that's a big conversation that Terenzio and I have had with the movement right now with Black Lives Matter. And, you know, in BC, we do have a problem that, and I do enjoy cutting textured hair. I don't want to say I specialize in it, but I do a good enough job to help my clients get through it. And I do get a lot of referrals in. But I think that's something that in the community, I see a lot of people saying, well, I don't have experience because we don't have a big enough population. And I'm always just like, well, that's an excuse. Like, you just got to practice and find the population, because there is a population. And if you go and listen and you put yourself out there, there is a need for people that know textured hair, and we need to start learning it, because it's not fair to the individual that has East Indian or African or Persian or Italian, Mexican. We're an ethnic, like our population is full of ethnic people. Like, we have to get ahead of it. Yeah.
And the information is out there, right? It's got to be curated. It's got to be brought together. We have some people in the industry that are phenomenal at what they do. They need to learn how to share that information effectively. Just because you're a fantastic stylist doesn't automatically make you a fantastic teacher. Right?
I like that.
Usually a fantastic hairstylist isn't a good teacher, to be honest, because they don't like to tell everybody what they know.
Or they don't know how, right? They're so visual, right? And that's what you hear so much is, well, you want to learn? Watch me. Yeah. Well, that's not every learner.
Yeah.
Right?
We had, during our conversation that we had last week to schedule this, we talked a little bit about, deregulation that keeps coming up, but something that people keep asking, and you had such a unique answer, and I'd love you to share that. What happened to the industry? Why was it really deregulated? And I guess that's my question for now, because I don't want to ask any more. I think you probably have enough to elaborate on that. So why was it deregulated? I'm sure a lot of people would like to know.
Well, it was deregulated along with 118 other industries, right? And I don't know who it was that took a look at the old legislation, and they realized that the legislation was in contravention of the Combines Act. And the Combines Act says when you become a certified professional, you are a certified professional. It's not tied to membership. in anything. So what was happening in BC was, in order to maintain your professional status, you had to maintain your membership in an association. So the government at that time, I'm not political, I don't even know who it was, they said, okay, this isn't right, let's fix this. So they gave industry 3 years. In 2000, they said, okay, in 2003, we're deregulating the industry. We're splitting off certification from membership. So they're going to be 2 separate paths. If you want to become a member of an association, you can, but you don't have to in order to maintain your credential. So 117 industries said, okay, we better sit down and figure something out. And welders and hairdressers said, we're going to change the government's mind. We're going to convince them that they should just leave us as is. So at that time, the Cosmetology Industry Association of British Columbia did everything in their power to try and convince the government otherwise. And at the end of that 3 years, they weren't as well liked as they were prior by people in charge. Yeah. Yeah, there was a little bit of a sour taste when it came to the association. December 31st, 2003, the association had 22,000 members.
22,000?
In the
BC.
province. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So in 2003, there was 22,000 professionals.
And now?
We have no idea.
Probably in the 60,000, I would say.
It's about 60.
Yeah.
65.
Well, and we have a big push right now that I've been hearing for the last 3 years is that a lot of people, international students, come here, jump into one of the schools, pays their international pricing for their class, and then they don't even become hairdressers. They just wanted to get a license so they can stay and then work something else, which feeds into the industry, takes away a spot for somebody else, because of course you'd want somebody that will spend twice as much to take their class. And now all of a sudden the salons don't have enough people to fill, or quality people to fill our space.
And that's filling the seat.
Yeah.
Right? To keep the business viable.
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't you take people that pay double?
So what does the Red Seal look like in 2020 now? What has the Red Seal changed to make it more current? The number one struggle as a salon owner is stylists don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to build their clientele. So how does the training, the safety, phenomenal, but what about marketing? What about getting clients in the door?
That whole process has changed for the new stylist, right? And what I'm finding, as well as working as a subject matter expert for the government agencies, I'm a consultant to salons and schools and spas. And I'm finding that our new practitioner, whether any kind of cosmetology, their definition of a career is 4 to 5 years. It's not 20 or 30.
Yeah.
So that's what we can comfortably hold on to staff, right? And know that they feel fulfilled and they've succeeded in their mission and now they're on to the next, whatever. They're not motivated by money at all.
This is true. Yeah.
It's the experience.
Yeah, that's the new generation right now. They're not motivated like the previous generations where it's all about saving money.
So the what used to work doesn't. Right? They have to be in order to be successful today, you have to be an Instagram master. That's it.
It's true. You need to be a magician.
That social media feed, right? That's where you get your leads. To be able to turn, the other thing that they need is to learn how to convert that lead into a sale, right? And once they've got them in the chair, to deliver the experience that they expect. That's the problem, right? They're willing to pay $150 for a haircut, no questions asked, but it's got to feel like that value is there, right?
And that's changing, and that's changing every day.
It's huge. Yeah. Like, to be able to, I think the high-end experience now is to be able to arrange everything on your phone before you ever get there. Walk in, be greeted, be taken through the process by an assistant / apprentice, right? So that you have this person that's waiting on you for your every need, to sit down in the chair, to be able to seamlessly hook up through Wi-Fi to an interactive screen that's embedded in the mirror, so that you could actually text your stylist, and your stylist could be looking at the mirror, the screen in the mirror, having that conversation, right? Because
this isn't actually happening, is it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these things are in Asia all over the place.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know. I have to I'm an old school at heart, I guess. I do engage with that, like, in person, like, I don't.
Oh, yes.
I need the like, everyone tells me, oh, online booking. I'm like, no, I have a receptionist. Call, have a conversation with my receptionist, send her an email, text. But it's so much easier. Well, who for who? You know, it's like,
for you.
When they start screwing up my appointments because they think they're getting a root touch-up, but they need a full balayage root touch-up, I don't know about
That's
that.
what your apprentices are for, right? To smooth that over and deal with that time conflict.
But isn't that interesting, the change and shifts that we're going through? We've got a generation that came from the old school ways of doing things. Then we have a generation that went through school, and then another generation that went through school that didn't have to achieve so much. And now it's all YouTube. And in this conversation that we're having right now, nobody's right or wrong. It's just where we're at right now. And it's interesting because every situation, every conversation, every question that we're going through applies to different specific person that depending on where they're at. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And to have those, like, I wouldn't have anybody on my desk, I wouldn't have anybody over 25 in that position. Yeah. Because they're not comfortable with media like those that are under 25 are. I was absolutely blown away at the 2018, was it 2018 ABA in Toronto? I think that was the last one. Maybe 2019, whatever the last one.
I think you're right about 2018 because I think they canceled the 2019.
Yeah. So I was at the ABA and I'm watching, and they tried something new, and we brought in Instagram influencers, right? So they're really interesting watching them work live to begin with. They had a whole audience in front of them. They worked strictly to the camera. They never made eye contact with the audience at all. We had 2 big screens on each side of the stage. And it was just amazing. You'd stand there and watch, and you'd have the old school hairdressers in the middle, right in front of the stage, trying to make eye contact with the artist, and that wasn't working. And then you had all these current generation, they took their chairs, the artist is 30 feet away, but they took their chairs and they faced the big screens. and they're watching the artist on the screen. Because my argument was, right, like in the organizing and setting up the show, my argument was, let's stream it, right? Sell it and stream it. Why not? Oh, no, they want to see live artists. It has to be live, yada, 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 right? I mean, a lot of those people are older than me, and they just don't get it. So then I went and I found them and brought them to the stage, and look, this is what's going on. You paid all this money to have this person live, and look at what the people that are buying your products, what they're watching. Are they watching her? No. Their back is to her. They're watching the screen.
Yeah, I hate the idea of that type of education changing to this just streaming, because it's so important to feel the energy. Like, that's one of my fondest memories is the ABA as a young stylist, walking into the big ABA. We don't have it in BC anymore, but walking in and seeing the artists on the stage. And I guess that is the Instagram is the shift. It's the same experience when you see it on your phone, but now it's hard.
It is hard
to have, and like that excitement comes from that live performance of that platform artist. Those people work in that venue, right? They know how to create that experience. Whereas Instagram educators work through media. That was one of the most boring presentations I've ever seen live. Like it was a waste of time.
Yeah, there was a show that I was a part of, and there was a gentleman that was invited to the show, and he was on stage with all these professional platform artists that had many years of experience, not just in doing hair, but being able to speak and engage with real people. And you could tell there was a little bit of a challenge because, I guess he's so used to being in front of a screen and not even being in front of people, that there was something missing, that people wanted more, but it went dead quiet. So not that there's anything wrong with him or what he did or the situation, but this is the transition that we're going through right now. And everything is becoming virtual, and I think it will only become more virtual as time goes on. Whether some of us old school people like it or not, it's just the way it's going to be. And I think it's maybe just time to embrace it. Hey, we're doing it right now. Look what we're doing right now.
Exactly. And it has its place, right? And you can support your skills and learn a new way of manipulating a technique through media very nicely. It's skill development that needs to be in-person, hands-on.
Right.
Well explained. That's exactly it.
Because you're doing hands-on stuff, that's why it's important.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to hire a bricklayer that watched a YouTube channel on how to lay bricks, right? They have to. Sure, you can watch a video on how to do a different design of laying bricks, but you still need to know the fundamentals of how to do the job. And I think that's what's missing a lot of times, is that they know, stylists know that it will come with time, but they're not investing the time on their own selves. And that's where the pride and passion kind of takes a step aside. I think a lot of young hairstylists, and I was one of them, I thought my pride in the salon was what was going to make me more successful. And then my mentor was like, no, it's the passion you put into outside of the salon. It's going and taking education, and it's going and thriving and finding your niche, and not even your niche, but just pushing yourself into awkward positions and awkward situations without a paying client.
And that goes for all of us, because if you think about it, old school generational hairstylists, we need to learn how to get more onto the devices.
Yes.
And the new school generation need to learn how to talk more with people and be more engaging. Everybody's got a responsibility if they want to take their skills to the next level.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
If they want.
And I think that's where Red Seal comes in, right? Because it is that journeyman mentoring that stylist through that process.
How do we avoid the abuse, though? Because there's just...
We educate the salons.
I just feel like there's just so much abuse right now in the industry. You hear, stylists that are going to schools or hair salons for the practicums, and all they're doing is cleaning toilets with a toothbrush. And that's maybe dramatic, but you know what I mean. Like it's just they're not involved.
That's those front end loaded schools. That's the old system of schools.
Which is all of them.
Well, there's a few that are Red Seal now.
But they're still not able to do the full Red Seal system because of the industry isn't ready to receive them, I feel.
We need the salons to become part of the process. We need those people to apprentice our trained Red Seal students that are going through the process. All of the high schools now are Red Seal foundation training. So
every high school that has the hair program has Red Seal. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. I did talk to Alpha in Burnaby. They're one of the schools that is.
So the industry is slowly changing. It's going back to the level of standard. And for stylists that aren't aware of it, this is something that they should know more about because it's changing, and it's better to be ahead of the curve rather than being behind it. And I'm sure there's a lot of other benefits that come with, reaching that accredited program, because not only you much more skilled, but you probably become that much more confident as well.
And salons will pay you more too. If I know you have your Red Seals and you're building your clientele, I'm more inclined to pay you a higher wage because I know you've already done so much training that.
Wow, what a great point. Yeah.
Well, because we can put your pricing higher than a junior stylist. Like my junior stylist is at $40 to $55 for haircuts. All of a sudden I get a Red Seal that's already trained. I can put them at the $50 to $60 haircuts. And now I'm making back my return on investments like that instead of 2 years. Well, some people will say 6 months, but realistically it's not for 2 years, in my opinion or experience.
Do you think it could be a part of a conversation where the general public that are going to hair salons, this is something that they might look for in hairstylists moving forward eventually? Like,
we would like to be able to educate the public so that they know what to look for.
What are some problems that you've found by not having Red Seal? I know we spoke about this. I really want to make sure we get this. You found barbers cutting hair. They'd never gone to school. They just went to YouTube.
Huge.
What are some things that you've seen?
I see high school students that are trying to make money to support their journey through university in the next years, cutting hair in their garage. Right now, you tell me somebody who has no safety training, no sanitation and disinfection, taking a straight blade to skin. Right?
So you mean I can't go learn how to do electrical repair and then go and start fixing people's houses?
You can.
No.
It's not right.
But that's the same thing. I just wanted to point that out. That's no different.
Exactly.
Sorry to cut you off. Please continue.
Yeah, like people. The other thing that I've seen now, just to make a side note here, there's Red Seal hairdressing. We can also make an application to designate Red Seal barber, bring that back to the province, esthetician, and nail technology.
Those three aren't yet. You're saying just hairdressing is
right now.
No barbering, no nail technician, no cosmetology in general.
But in other parts of Canada, there is Red Seal for that.
Yes. Well, of course, BC's the lone wolf, right? We're
always
hippies that just disconnected from the rest of Canada.
Yeah. So I've sat in the chair. I didn't actually get the service because I was watching. I was in mani-pedi spa, and I was going to be getting a pedicure, and I was waiting. And I was watching the work being done. There was 4 ladies came in, sat down into the thrones, and they're getting the pedicures, and they're having a great time enjoying themselves. And I'm watching the first girl file the nails on her client. She dips the tool in the water and passes it to the next girl, who then uses it on her client. And this process continued all the way down. Each tool was used and then passed to the next technician to use on the client in front of them.
So is that kind of like saying if you go to a dentist and they take their tools and they, instead of giving you some fresh, I don't know their process, but just for the sake of this conversation, instead of taking that thing they put in your mouth to clean the tartar and the plaque, dipping it and then putting it in someone else's mouth, which could be yours. That's kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
Just not in your mouth. It's just all around your face. Or in your nails. Well, and we talked to Greg Robbins from the Beauty Council, and he pointed out that the insurance companies for Beauty Council don't want to reinsure estheticians and spas because there's too many lawsuits in BC on spas that are doing poor practices. And now you're saying this, and it's just, that's evidence that we need to make a change.
Yeah, huge.
And not even for yourself, but for your customers, I think. The clients deserve that much. What have been some of your experiences as an examiner? What's the process? I know I feel like we're going to have another conversation start. This isn't going to be the only one, but I just want to make sure we're on some kind of a time limit. So please excuse me if I feel like I'm rushing us. What has been some of your, can you walk us through an examination? Maybe what does it take to get a red seal? And what is the process? Maybe how much it costs and what, until it comes to you in the process of earning that certificate?
Okay, there's a few different paths to red seal. We wanted to make sure there was as few barriers as possible. So I'll talk about the two most common paths. First one is someone starts in a red seal training program at an institution or through high school. They take that foundation training, they do a written exam, they complete hours in the salon, and then they apply to do their endorsement practical exam to give them their full red seal. That's candidate one. Candidate two has been a hairdresser in the industry for 8 years, let's say. They either want to instruct in a red seal school or curriculum, or they want to be able to have apprentices in their salon, or they feel that they need the credential. They may want to travel and work in other countries, and we're instantly recognized as a journeyman in other countries with that red seal. So those are usually part of their reasons. So they both make application for the practical exam that gives them the endorsement and the actual red seal that goes on their ticket. So if they've been working in the industry, they're called a challenger. They have to prove 5,400 hours behind a chair. They take their written exam, they pass it, then they come to us for their practical. So they arrive with the equipment and product that was on the list. And in BC, when they're taking the red seal practical, they're provided a mannequin. So the mannequin is a pivot point snap cap. So a scalp is inserted into the mannequin. They are all identical. So the assessment is based on their competency. Doesn't matter, they don't have to have the perfect model or complain that their model wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah.
So they go through a series of demonstrations of practical competencies. In the morning, they do a uniform haircut. They do, and then that's assessed on accuracy. So if it's cut to 9 inches, is it 9 inches all over?
Pretty basic?
Yeah, very basic.
Yeah, that's like the hardest haircut, by the way. The most basic haircuts are always the hardest haircuts.
Yeah. But I mean, it's an expectation, right?
It's great. No,
Buy that thing that you hook up to the vacuum and reach it to
There we go.
9 inches, and it's perfect. The assessor will be thinking, why can't I be this good?
it has to be hooked up to a Dyson for that much suction.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, Dyson's coming out with a lot of tools. Can you imagine if they came out with something like that?
The Floby?
The Floby, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
What are some funny stories, or do you have any memories or funny stories as an examiner? Some things that you have seen throughout your examinations that kind of stuck
Well,
out?
I think it's really funny when you ask for a 1/2 inch retouch and it's 2.5 inches.
Well, they got the 1/2 inch there. Right?
What's the protocol to measure that? They don't take out a measuring tape.
Well, we actually have the end of a pencil, the little thing that holds the eraser,
Yeah.
right, is 1 inch. So it's pretty easy to see the 1/2 inch.
Some combs
when
probably have that too. You can
I was-
probably measure
yeah.
the comb.
Yeah, most combs.
When it's beyond 1 inch,
Yeah.
it's
Size matters.
it really does in a lot of things.
Yes.
What is funny? Oh, just scary, not funny.
I was
Scary. Let's hear it.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was like, she's probably like, she's got way more scary stories than it's funny.
Yeah, like people come, they're not prepared. You know, you apply to do this exam, the handbook, the assessment book itself is online for them to download. So everything we're asking for, the way we want to see it, the way they have to set up, it's all in black and white. And they'll come in and they don't have developer for their color.
Is that like an instant fail?
Pardon?
Is that an instant fail? Like, is that like, okay,
No.
common sense doesn't prevail, leave? No?
Oh, I wish.
Too bad.
No, like we're usually in a downtown location, so
Go to
okay.
Cosmo or go
yeah,
to the,
run and get what you need. Like you've only known for 6 months what you need.
Doesn't that
The store's down the street.
Doesn't that fall on the schools to make sure that they prepare them for these types of examinations? Or
This is a professional credential. These are stylists that have had minimum 2 years experience, maximum 30.
and they're usually not going to the school. They're just utilizing the school as a facility to do the exam. Am I correct?
Well, we don't even do them in schools
Oh, okay.
unless that's the facility that's available. We usually do them in salons,
Okay.
right? We'll do groups of 8 to 10.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. We use schools if they're available.
Mhm.
But, yeah, these are adult professionals that are coming to get a credential. They're not your little wannabe girl that worked 4 or 5 months in a salon and thinks she needs to prove that she's a hairdresser.
yeah.
Right? They've had the training. They've gone through the whole process. Yeah, it's common sense is not common
No.
at all.
Star, we talked a little bit before, and you brought up how you were planning on joining the Beauty Council and trying to bring a fresh new look to it. Can you tell the audience and us a little bit about what you're doing with them, or what you would like to see from them by you joining them?
Okay.
No pressure.
I'm
Dun, dun, dun.
none at all. I'm running for a spot on the board, so I haven't joined them yet.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm voted in. And if I am, then there's some things that I'm really hoping to address for the industry. First of all, yes, we need regulation. We need licensing so that we can ensure that the public is confident that people that are working on them have the education that they need to be safe. For me, that's huge. And I think the way to do that is through licensing and regulation. So I think that's where we need to focus. The other thing that I think the association could provide value for the industry, for its membership, is in gap training. There's so many stylists have so many gaps in their training. We need to learn textured hair, right? That's huge. It's been a requirement long before the movement started, right? Working in film, I do so many people with textured hair because nobody else has a training.
Yeah.
Right? We have good educators. One thing that I'm very good at is teaching people how to teach. Right? We need that professional development piece so that stylists know where to go to be able to get the information that they need, do the hands-on work that they need. Franco, it doesn't work through media, right? You can watch as many videos as you want until you have your hands in the hair. You physically don't understand, and we work from a physical perspective, right? You have to feel it in order to do it.
You need to feel it, you need to breathe it, you need to be it, right?
Yeah. And I think that's where the association can have a lot of value, is in being the medium that brings this education together and makes it available.
And maybe hopefully the beauty council can actually be more involved with student or schools instead of like beauty council helping the stylists. Like, we need to hold the schools more accountable, because the schools are the ones that are feeding the information to the stylists. Like, I'm sick and tired of seeing students graduate with 2 or less than a week of education in barbering. And I hate that it's just barbering. It's not men's styling and barbering. And they just know how to put a number 2 on or number 3 on, and that's all they know. And it's like, no, your clientele is a big portion. It's not just textured, but it's also men, like males come into the salons and they're always like, why can't you just give me a good haircut? I don't want to go to a barber shop, but I want a men's style. Or they want to go to a barber shop and receive something that's a little bit different than just a number 1 or a number 2.
And that's where gap training comes in, because there's a huge difference between a hairstylist doing a short clipper cut on a man and a barber, right? The shape is completely different. The tools are completely different. Mm-hmm. If stylists want to learn those techniques, or to be able to provide that kind of service, they need to learn those specific techniques. The issue with schools, we can't expect a stylist to have a full repertoire of skills coming out of school. Schools are there to give them the basic training and to give them the ability to learn more technique, right? It doesn't matter what you show them. The day they graduate, if they've been in school for 5 years, the day they graduate, they're still not confident in the things that they've just learned.
Yeah.
Right? You only build that confidence through practice. Right, and executing those skills.
This term called gap training, is that something that you created yourself, or is it? Because I love it. I think it fits the bill pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we should just do a whole episode on gap training moving forward.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
If anybody has anything they'd like to add to this particular topic, please write in. Please put a comment below. We'd love to make you part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, go on.
100%.
Well, what we really need is for the instructors to have gap training. The instructors, because traditionally in the non-Red Seal schools, right? That's the differentiation.
Being politically correct, yes.
The way you become an instructor is you go through an interview process, and a personal opinion decides whether you're hired as an instructor. Okay, so unless they have an objective assessment tool that they're using, they're making the decision, yeah, I think they'll be a good instructor, I'll hire them, and they'll start instructing. There's no prerequisite. One person in the school needs to have what's called PID, Provincial Instructor Diploma. So that's an expanded train the trainer program. So it doesn't...
Only one person has to have that.
One person.
With 120 students.
Yeah. Or more. Yeah.
Or more.
They don't have to be the instructor.
No, they don't. And that's kind of what I was trying to make a point out, is that only one person in the building for all those students and 7 educators.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
So that's the issue in my mind. Right? We need to have a safe place where instructors can go and hone their craft. Okay, I've been hired as an instructor. I've done this for a year. I want to continue. I have these challenges. I'm not connecting with the students in the way I think I should. I need some support. They need to learn how to teach.
Do you feel the Beauty Council has a platform to be able, if you would get put onto the Beauty Council, do you feel like the Beauty Council is the platform to help with this? Or do you think this is something that needs to be added on elsewhere?
I think Beauty Council is in a position where they could have some reach. And in my mind, it's a natural go-to. Oh, my association should be able to help me.
Yeah.
Let me see. Like, I'll contact them. This is what I need. What can you do for me? Yeah. That's the path. The first call I would make, if I'd say that's the first call I did make when I moved to BC. I opened a school. I needed some support. I contacted the association. There was none. I got it elsewhere. I went down and I joined the Cosmetology Association, CEA, Cosmetology Educators Association in the States. Right? It's specifically for instructors in beauty schools. Right? So they gave me all the support that I needed. And I'm still a member today. But I think we can do that for our educators here. I think it should be national, not just provincial.
Yes, amen to that.
Instagram was an area where it brought stylists together. Mm-hmm. Could attaining the red seal be the next phase or the next thing that stylists get on board with to come together?
Oh, definitely.
And ideally, I think it would, but I think entitlement won't allow it. I think because people are just so, well, I can do it this way as a hairstylist because it's so artistic. I find that there's just going to be that, and I'm not talking about new stylists. I'm talking about the generalized experience that I've experienced being in the salon is that, people want to just experience and they don't want to have this demand. And I hate it because I like the demand. I like the structure. That's my opinion. That's it.
I don't know. I think Red Seal allows you to travel and to work. Right? With your Red Seal, if you're under 35, under 29, there's 35 countries that you can show your Red Seal and get a job. No problem. If you're over 29, then there's 16 countries. Once you have that, and the new stylist today is all about the experience.
Traveling.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I was in the late 70s, I was doing that. Right? Traveling and working and just seeing as much as I could. And you just walk into a salon and they'd look at you, where are you from? Right? Because you have your Canadian accent.
Hey?
Yeah. And they'd, because you're checking out the shop. You'd never seen a shop set up like that before. It's not like where you live. Oh, where are you from? Canada? Do you want to work?
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen
and
a lot of that.
You'd be working.
I've seen a lot of that when I was an advisor years ago. I went into a salon that brought in, I think they were Australian.
Yeah.
They brought in a couple of Australian girls that came from Australia. They were on a traveling visa. I think they were here for about 2 years, but this salon owner was blown away at the level of experience that these two had. And I'm not just talking about, cutting and coloring hair. We're talking about, the salon owner is in a situation where she's like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And they're literally like, you just go have your lunch. We got this. They took calls, they took appointments, they brought in staff. They even brought in new customers. I don't know the whole entire situation. And from start to finish, she was blown away. She was trying to do everything to keep these two there longer, but unfortunately they moved along with their journey and their path. But that was.
I'm going through that right now with some. We hired some Irish girls, and they're
awesome. Hey?
Oh my gosh! I'm like, where are your friends? Bring them. Come on, come on. Let's fill this place with a bunch of Irish. I have no problem. Great conversation. Yeah, the training is so completely different. And even Bruce from Zazu Hair, he was talking about when he got trained in Germany, the completely different training.
Yeah, and it's all apprenticeship system.
All apprenticeship.
All the countries we've talked about, they're all apprentice system.
Yeah. So we got to bring the apprenticeships. Everyone out there, do not listen to what yesterday was, and let's focus on what tomorrow is going to be. And let's get some apprenticeships out there. Salon owners to stylists. Let's start building this industry better. Like we all have to do it together.
And they'll benefit. Yeah. How will a stylist and a salon owner benefit, Star, in your opinion, if they decide that this is going to be their journey moving forward, with making Red Seal as part of their credentials, as part of their process? It
grounds your stylists. Your stylists now are mentoring, right? So it elevates their work as well when you have an apprentice in the system. They're on display all the time, right? And somebody is looking to them and up to them for mentorship. You have someone who has their basic training in all areas of the salon. So you can shift that person into whatever position you need support in, like the front desk, if that's what's going on. They understand that any towels have to be laundered with detergent and bleach and dried at the highest temperature possible. All of those sanitation standards. You don't have to second guess your support staff, right? You have, by having an apprentice in going through that Red Seal process, they've already made their own personal commitment to being in this industry. They're not trying it out. Right? They're on that path. They know what they want. Whereas when we hire off the street cold, they may have worked at a couple different shops for 6-8 months each. And the question we should be asking is, why are they transitioning from business to business?
Yeah.
Like people are the same everywhere, right? You either enjoy working with them and are looking to solve their problems with their hair, or something else is going on.
How do salon owners combat stylists? Let's say they wanted to invest in their stylists, and they get to a point where a stylist will work with them for a little bit. Then they attain all of this knowledge and experience and clientele. The salon owner invests in them, but then at some point that stylist decides to leave that salon and take everything they learned and built for themselves. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know that that's been an issue for a long time.
Yeah, and I think that's in the hiring process. The owner needs to be very clear on what their vision and their mission is for their business, and articulate that and have a serious conversation with that potential stylists, and have a mechanism in place to to assess whether that stylist has bought into that mission and vision, is on the same path or not. Because if they're not totally invested in where you as an owner want to go, they're going to look for their own path.
Maybe that is the reason, I guess. That's why they would stay, because they're held to a standard and they are aligned with the owner with what they want to achieve in life. And if they don't have that, if that's not being provided, maybe that could be one of the reasons why they feel they need to leave and move on.
Exactly.
I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate, but
yes, please.
Because we are in BC again, and we do have the unregulated thing, we have chair rental, and I have a hybrid salon that does chair rental and commission, and we bring people into chair rental, and I still have the battle of making sure that the people moving into chair rental earn enough money to become chair renters, and there's still that kickback on that. It's like, I think I've earned it, and it's like, but you're still needing to earn more to actually do it. So the vision is so difficult because people end up building their own vision of what they expect they're entitled for. And that is as a business owner and as a stylist, because I battle myself all the time. I'm literally bipolar half the time because I battle the stylist in me and the owner. And it's a difficult thing to battle.
In that kind of a situation, what if from day one, that person ran their numbers in both systems? Every paycheck.
What do you,
right?
what
Like
do you, what do you mean?
just,
I don't understand that.
It's a spreadsheet. Your paycheck is going to be X dollars if you're a stylist and Y dollars if you're a chair renter.
Yeah, I understand. I like that.
Right?
I like that.
You have two spreadsheets. It'll populate. You just hit the button and it'll populate if it's set up, right? So they always get that at payday. They get two printouts. One is their paycheck that the system they're currently on, and the other one is a printout of the alternate spreadsheet.
Where have you been hiding, Star? Where have you been hiding this whole time? That's
because they're responsible for their paycheck.
Let's have a round of applause here. Come on, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. You're right.
Why should you battle? It's them that needs to battle.
I love integrating new ideas, so that is brilliant. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We're going to have another conversation. We're going to have to cut this one because we're already at an hour and 17 minutes. Franco's got a few things, and I'm sure you do as well. We'll connect again on email, I guess, and see if we could set up another date. By that time, I think we'll have a lot more questions. And anybody watching this, if you have questions for Star, do you prefer Star or Starlette?
Either one.
Either. If you have any questions for Star in this conversation, please put them in the comments below. I think Star comes with a wealth full of knowledge, especially her industry experience. And we would love to hear your feedback and hopefully shed some light on the subject. Franco, did you have any comments as well? Or?
Yeah, just let us know more questions that you guys want to have answers to, because like Terenzio said, Star is a wealth of knowledge, so we could really learn a lot, and I think the past needs to be brought to the present.
One last question, Star, to leave the little bit of the carrot dangling. What's one thing that you feel stylists and or salon owners should know? One piece of advice.
One piece of advice, hire smart. Invest in your hiring process.
I think we'll elaborate that on another conversation.
Yeah.
How can people find you, Star? We want to put this in the notes as well. Where can people find you? Or do you have an Instagram account, email? What's the best way? If somebody had a question for you, where should they reach you?
Probably email. I'm on Facebook, Starlette Tolver, Tolver. I have an Instagram account, but I'm an Instagram baby, so I'm learning how to work with Instagram.
Maybe there's some professionals out there that can lend a hand and show you a few things.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I need that. And my email is sdtolver, Tolver, @outlook.com.
What are some things that you feel that we could be doing more of?
Extend your reach, right? We need to see you guys more on the internet. I think you're an excellent forum to voice people's concerns in the industry. You can bring that forward and connect with people that have some of the answers or workable scenarios. You can be that bridge.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're working on right now.
That's what we're working on, yeah. So thank
okay.
you.
Yeah, that's our mission.
Good.
One interview at a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Okay. Well, we will let you go, Star. Thanks again for your time. We appreciate everything that you shared with us today, and we will look forward to having you on again.
Okay. Have a great day, guys.
You
Okay,
too. Have a
thanks.
great day.